Right now on Morning News Now, on hold, President Trump's abrupt plan to freeze federal aid spending, blocked by a judge just minutes before it was set to take effect. This as the White House is offering roughly 2 million federal workers a buyout to resign. We have the latest from Washington. Plus, a House divided. Robert Kennedy Jr. facing harsh criticism from his own family ahead of today's Senate confirmation hearing.
He lacks any relevant government, financial, management, or medical experience. His views on vaccines are dangerous and willfully misinformed. These facts alone should be disqualifying.
Why Caroline Kennedy called her cousin a, quote, predator, and the support she's receiving from other members of the family. Also this morning, a deadly outbreak in the heartland, what you need to know about the spike in tuberculosis cases being reported in Kansas and what it could mean for the rest of the country. And TikTok on the clock with a potential U.S. shutdown looming. We'll introduce you to the big tech execs lining up for a chance to take over the popular app. We're still waiting on a lot of details, though, how that would work from the parent company, from the president.
It's a story that's keeping you busy.
That's right. That's exactly right.
Good to have you with us. I'm Joe Fryer.
And I'm Savannah Sellers. Thanks for starting your day with us. We're going to begin our show this morning at the White House, where the Trump administration's attempt to freeze wide-ranging federal financial assistance is on hold. The sudden and unexpected move created chaos and confusion in Washington and beyond. Well, just minutes until the plan was due to go into effect on Tuesday, a D.C. federal judge issued a ruling blocking the order until Monday, when a hearing will be held for further arguments.
The White House says the pause is needed so agencies can conduct spending reviews, but the plan has been widely condemned by Democrats and some Republicans. They argue it would hurt everyday Americans who depend on federal aid for things like health care and food. It's just the latest way President Trump is trying to reshape the federal government and dramatically cut costs. Now his administration is offering roughly 2 million federal workers a deal to quit and receive a severance package. NBC News Washington correspondent Alice Barr has more on the buyouts.
This morning, more than 2 million federal workers facing a choice: take a newly offered severance package or accept Trump administration requirements, including returning to work in the office. A senior administration official telling NBC News they expect up to 10% to quit, leading to around $100 billion in savings. Some Democrats pushing back on the president's move.
He doesn't have any authority to do this. Do not be fooled by this guy. You were here before he was here, and you'll be here after he was here.
A judge hitting a week-long pause on a separate order freezing federal grants and loans after nonprofit groups, 22 states and Washington, D.C., all sued the Trump administration, citing constitutional provisions that Congress, not the president, sets federal spending. The White House press secretary saying the freeze is aimed at federal aid that might run counter to President Trump's executive orders and is not a blanket pause on all assistance.
Social Security benefits, Medicare benefits, food stamps, welfare benefits, assistance that is going directly to individuals will not be impacted by this pause.
Organizations like Meals on Wheels that delivers meals to seniors confused and concerned.
It's not considered a direct federal assistance program like Social Security or Medicare would be. So we're concerned.
It all comes as President Trump is pressing ahead on immigration enforcement and rounding out his cabinet picks. Today, a confirmation hearing begins for his controversial choice to head the Department of Health and Human Services, Robert F. Kennedy Jr.
Going back to those federal worker buyouts, the American Federation of Government Employees is warning what it calls a civil servant purge could mean chaos for Americans depending on a functioning federal government, though the offers exclude members of the military, postal service, immigration enforcement, and national security. In Washington, Alice Barr, NBC News. Well, the Trump administration's major crackdown on undocumented immigrants continues. NBC News is learning that Immigration and Customs Enforcement is planning to target 3 cities per week for large-scale arrests, with Aurora, Colorado up next. That is according to 3 sources familiar with the planning. NBC News senior White House correspondent Gabe Gutierrez was in New York City to witness the latest round of ICE arrests.
New York City, at the center of President Trump's escalating crackdown on illegal immigration. Federal agents arresting an alleged ringleader for the notorious Venezuelan gang Tren de Aragua, who they say is wanted for kidnapping and assault. New Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem in body armor overseeing the roundup.
We're getting the dirtbags off these streets.
President Trump touting the ongoing arrests.
We are throwing them the hell out of our country. We have no apologies, and we're moving forward very fast.
Two sources familiar with the planning confirmed to NBC News ICE leadership has told agents to increase their arrest of undocumented immigrants to 1,200 to 1,500 per day nationwide. One source calling it a quota, adding agents may be penalized for not meeting it.
Mexico! Mexico!
Across the country, Trump's deportations are sparking both fierce backlash.
There's a real goal here to stoke fear into the American people.
And strong support.
I'm really happy it's happening. Very happy, actually.
After NBC News reported nearly half of undocumented immigrants arrested Sunday had no prior criminal record, besides being in the country illegally, NBC's Peter Alexander asking the White House.
So is violent offenders no longer the predicate for these people to be deported?
If you are an individual, a foreign national, who illegally enters the United States of America, you are, by definition, a criminal.
The cost of all this can be staggering. Two sources familiar with the process tell NBC News deporting one migrant runs around $10,500. Here in New York, city officials estimate it costs an average of $352 a night to house asylum seekers.
Are you scared, Tinajero?
La verdad, sí.
Catherine Espancha from Venezuela says she and her daughters have stayed at this hotel, a migrant shelter, for 6 months. That could be a price tag to taxpayers of more than $63,000. And three sources familiar with the planning now tell NBC News that large-scale arrests will now happen in 3 U.S. cities per week. Back to you.
All right, Gabe, thank you very much.
New video shows a military plane crashing at a base in Alaska on Tuesday. As you're about to see here, the moment an F-35 fighter jet began to spin out of control. Then it just simply drops from the sky before crashing at Eielson Air Force Base. The crash happened during the landing phase of a scheduled training exercise. The U.S. Air Force pilot was able to safely eject, was taken to a hospital for more evaluation. The Air Force says the pilot reportedly experienced an in-flight malfunction, adding there will be a thorough investigation into the crash to make sure something similar doesn't happen again. Incredible sight, and just the importance of that training to eject, get out of there.
I was just going to say, he obviously knew what he was doing. My goodness, ejecting in time. What a video. Thanks, John. Well, today the Northeast is in for some more lake effect snow. You've been hearing us talk about that a lot. For all the details, let's take a look at your Morning News Now weather.
Meteorologist Angie Lastman is with us. Angie, good morning.
Hi, guys. Good morning to you. We've got plenty of winter alerts up at this hour in exactly that location that you just mentioned. The Northeast, a couple of those still lingering across parts of the Great Lakes. Those are the two areas that we're going to watch for some impacts today when it comes to the wintry weather. We've already woken up to some snow across this region. You can see it stretched from the coast, basically back towards the lakes. And this is going to be the general area that sees that additional snow throughout the day today. Now, a couple things to note. This is going to be a quick moving system, so it's not going to hang out. It's not going to be a prolonged kind of thing that we deal with even into tomorrow. It's mainly just a today issue, but we will see some impactful conditions when it comes to travel. Those snow squalls producing some really reduced visibilities, possibly, especially as we're on the roads as the day goes on. We'll see that blowing wind or the blowing snow with those elevated winds, and you can see we've got wind alerts up for 57 million people across this region. So, of course, this is why we're watching for those reduced visibilities as the day goes on. Here's what we're talking as far as some of these wind speeds. Notice 50 miles per hour for peak gusts in Harrisburg. We got same story up into portions of New York City, 40 mile per hour winds. This likely going to cause some airport delays as well. So even closer to the coast where we're not expecting all of that snow, you'll likely still see some delays when it comes to the airports. Places like Washington, D.C., New York, Atlantic City could see some difficult travel as well. Meanwhile, across the south, we've got a couple of days where we're going to see a system kind of ramp up and bring us the potential for severe weather and some flash flooding. Today, this is the scene that we see. That rain becomes a little more widespread. We watch this area specifically for the chance to see some stronger thunderstorms. It'll be isolated, but I want you to watch for maybe potential strong wind gusts up to 60 miles per hour. We've got a bit of a hail threat as well, but the good news is that tornado threat remains low. But this is centered across parts of Texas today, with Dallas included in that. Dallas and parts of southern Oklahoma also included in this slight risk of some flash flooding. We're going to see some impressive rain rainfall rates across this region. And some of those totals could be upwards of 3, 4, even 5 inches. So no surprise if we see some localized flooding across this region. Tomorrow, an even better chance of the severe weather and the flooding. So notice we've got that rain stretched from basically the Gulf Coast up into the Midwest, into the Ohio Valley, into the Mississippi Valley. That's where we'll see kind of this intense plume of moisture, leaving us with the chance for some flooding once again, and also those severe storms possible too for tomorrow. Here's what we're looking at. The greatest threat, I think, will be the hail, 2 inches and higher in size. But we'll see some damaging winds likely as well, and a couple of tornadoes not out of the question. That flooding threat is much more widespread, especially when you look at the slight risk. It stretches from, again, the Ohio Valley all the way into Texas, Dallas, Little Rock, included in that, Paducah, as well as Memphis. So once again, heads up for that. We'll see some river flooding too. We've got just this big batch of moisture that's going to move across this part of the country, guys, and leaving us with a couple of days of some impactful weather for a good part of that region. Now, the good thing is it's not snow. It is the rain that we'll see. We've got kind of this weather whiplash with temperatures. So this is all going to fall in the form of rain. No snow for our folks there.
Rough January for that part of the country.
Seriously. Indeed.
So much moisture. Thanks, Angie.
We also have an update this morning on those mysterious drone sightings we've been telling you about for the past couple months. The White House now says, well, they aren't all that mysterious. At a press briefing on Tuesday, White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt said many of those drones were authorized to be flown by the FAA for, quote, research and various other reasons. She went on to tell reporters that those nighttime sightings over New Jersey and other states were not the work of an unnamed enemy. Leavitt also said that the issue grew worse because of curiosity, with more drones flown by everyday citizens taking to the skies to see what was going on.
Well, later this afternoon, former New Jersey Democratic Senator Bob Menendez will face sentencing after being convicted of a federal corruption scheme. You might remember this, involving gold bars and envelopes full of cash while in office. Prosecutors are seeking 15 years in prison for Menendez, who is now the first U.S. senator to be convicted of acting as a foreign agent. Prosecutors argued that he used his power in the Senate to do favors for several New Jersey businessmen. However, lawyers for Menendez are asking the judge for no more than 27 months in prison, plus at least 2 years of community service. The 71-year-old resigned from Congress in August of last year, a month after a jury found him guilty on all 16 corruption charges he faced, which you see on your screen. That includes bribery, extortion, and conspiracy to act as an agent for Egypt. Menendez plans to appeal the verdict.
Health concerns will take center stage today at Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s Senate confirmation hearing. He's Mr. Trump's pick for the top job at the Department of Health and Human Services. And he's facing some strong opposition, even from within his own family. His cousin, Caroline Kennedy, sent a letter to senators describing him as unqualified and a predator. On top of that, many parents and doctors are worried about his public stances on vaccines. NBC News correspondent Aaron McLaughlin has more on these rising concerns.
Bobby himself is a predator.
Caroline Kennedy is lashing out at her cousin, calling him unqualified to oversee critical agencies, including the FDA and CDC, pointing in part to his stance on vaccines.
Bobby preys on the desperation of parents of sick children, vaccinating his own kids while building a following, hypocritically discouraging other parents from vaccinating theirs.
Do you have any response to the letter released by Caroline Kennedy?
RFK Jr. ignored NBC News' questions, but his cousin's concern is echoed in Franklin, Tennessee.
It's very scary that that person is going to be making public health decisions for our family and the country as a whole.
Jen Fisher's 12-year-old son Raleigh was born with a congenital heart condition that makes him more vulnerable to all types of sickness. Her fear now made worse, Jen says, by growing vaccine skepticism within the Franklin community.
What does that mean for Raleigh? It's a scarier thing to send him out the door every morning. It's cold and flu season. So there's a lot of illness going around.
Here in Tennessee, according to the CDC, more and more parents are choosing not to vaccinate their children against preventable diseases such as measles and whooping cough. A reality Dr. Daniel McGinley says he is increasingly confronting in his practice.
Do you worry that people are going to die because of this skepticism?
Some will.
You're confident that that is going to happen?
If these diseases come back, more people will die.
Vaccine skepticism is growing across 40 states plus Washington, D.C. Last school year, the percentage of kindergartners exempted from one or more mandatory vaccines was the highest ever recorded, fueled by online conspiracies and high-profile critics of vaccines and vaccine mandates, like RFK Jr.
There's no vaccine that is, safe and effective.
Since his nomination, he said he's not anti-vaccine and he won't take them away. But parents like Fisher say they'll be watching this confirmation hearing closely, knowing that for Raleigh and children like him, the stakes are high. Erin McLaughlin, NBC News, Franklin, Tennessee.
For more on what to expect in RFK Jr.'s hearings today, we are joined now by NBC News Chief Capitol Hill correspondent Ryan Nobles. Ryan, good morning. Thanks for joining us. So RFK Jr., we just heard a lot of it there, has drawn this criticism for spreading specifically vaccine misinformation, but then also general medical disinformation. One example is his assertion that Wi-Fi causes cancer. And he's also publicly challenged the science and research of the agencies that he's now poised to lead, which I think is a big piece of this. Then we have the scathing letter from Caroline Kennedy calling on the Senate to reject his nomination. Tell us more about what she had to say in that video, in that letter.
Yes, Savannah, and I think it's really important to emphasize kind of the gravity of someone like Caroline Kennedy coming out and speaking out against her first cousin. We've seen a wide range of Kennedy family members be very critical of RFK Jr.'s stance on a wide range of issues, but there's probably no one more significant in the Kennedy family than Caroline Kennedy. She, of course, the daughter of former President John F. Kennedy. She served as an ambassador both in Japan and Australia, a very prominent member of the family. And she's not been amongst that group of Kennedy family members who've been so publicly and vocally critical of her cousin. So the fact that she came out and was so insistent that he not win confirmation is notable. And the way she did it was also powerful. That letter to senators and then the video that she posted online. Take a listen to a little bit of what she had to say in that video.
He lacks any relevant government, financial, management, or medical experience. His views on vaccines are dangerous and willfully misinformed. These facts alone should be disqualifying. But he has personal qualities related to this job, which for me pose even greater concern. I've known Bobby my whole life. We grew up together. It's no surprise that he keeps birds of prey as pets, because Bobby himself is a predator.
But it's important to keep in mind as you take a listen to what Caroline Kennedy had to say, and perhaps there's a lot of Americans that may be impacted by this. The viewing audience for this, the people that need to be impacted by this is a very relatively small group. It would just take 4 Republican senators to vote no on his nomination in order to kill it. And there's no real indication yet that Republican senators are moved by the words of Caroline Kennedy. I think perhaps it will mean a lot more as to how he performs over the next 2 days in these hearings as to whether or not you could see some Republicans break. Overwhelmingly, what we've heard from Republican senators, while they may have concerns about some of the things they've said in the past, that he said in the past, they like the idea that he's going to come in and disrupt the healthcare space. And ultimately, they believe that he will enact Donald Trump's agenda, not his own personal agenda. Savannah.
Yeah. So, I mean, Ryan, I was going to ask for those who support Kennedy, what's the main argument that he's right for the job, and just kind of highlight what other issues could come up during this hearing over the next couple days.
Yeah, so I think more than anything, Donald Trump ran on this agenda of shaking up Washington, wanting to change the status quo. And that's what a lot of Republican senators see in RFK Jr. They want him to come in and ask tough questions about the way things have been done in the healthcare industry over the past 50 years. And they believe that while he may push a little bit too far on some of these big issues, that there will be guardrails put around him by the Trump administration. But keep in mind, it's not just vaccines. Obviously, vaccines are a huge concern, perhaps the biggest concern when it comes to RFK Jr. But he's questioned weight loss drugs, which have become hugely popular across the United States. He wants to overhaul the food inspection process, change the way agriculture is produced in this country, which could have dramatic effects on the way this country produces and feeds its population. And then, of course, there's his abortion stance. He's been a longtime pro-choice politician. The vast majority of these Republicans that are going to vote for him are decidedly pro-life. So it could cut both ways for RFK Jr. During these hearings over the next couple of days.
All right, Ryan, thank you very much. And you can get full coverage of Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s confirmation hearing today, starting at 10 a.m. Eastern, right here on NBC News Now.
We're just getting started this morning. Still ahead, the clock is ticking to avert a TikTok shutdown in the U.S. The tech titans who could be in the running to try and take over.
But first, embattled Israeli leader Benjamin Netanyahu set to travel to the U.S. to meet with President Trump. What we know about the visit amid a fragile ceasefire in Gaza.
Welcome back. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is set to make a trip to the White House next week. That will make him the first foreign leader to meet face-to-face with President Trump in his second term. In a letter to the Prime Minister, Mr. Trump wrote, "I look forward to discussing how we can bring peace to Israel and its neighbors and efforts to counter our shared adversaries."
This comes after Trump made controversial comments over the weekend about Gaza, saying he wants to, quote, clear out the region and send refugees to Egypt and Jordan. Comments that were welcomed by ultra-nationalist Israeli politicians.
For more on this, let's bring in NBC News correspondent Danielle Hamamdjian, who is in Tel Aviv with the latest. Danielle, good morning. So just tell us what we can expect from this meeting between Mr. Trump and Netanyahu.
Well, good morning to both of you. There's lots to talk about, of course, but the most pressing issue is this fragile ceasefire. Many people here, both Israelis and Palestinians, credit President Trump for making this deal happen. But since it was enforced, we heard President Trump saying that he's not confident the ceasefire will hold. And just as you mentioned seconds ago, he's also said that Palestinians in Gaza should be moved to Egypt and Jordan, something both countries flatly rejected. And Palestinians in Gaza want Gaza to be part of their future state. Now, Mr. Trump, of course, is a staunch supporter of the Israeli prime minister. And many here, certainly Palestinians, fear that some policies that would have been considered too right-wing, unthinkable just a few years ago, will now be given the green light under the new Trump administration.
Trump's Middle East envoy, Steve Witkoff, met with Netanyahu earlier in January. This was just days before the ceasefire deal that you're describing was finalized. He is set to visit Israel this week. It'll be his first visit to the region since Trump took office. What do we know about the agenda here?
Well, we are waiting for official confirmation that he has arrived in Israel. We're expecting his arrival today. The discussions will no doubt center around the second phase of this deal, which is still very vague, still very uncertain. We would see potentially, if it goes ahead, the full withdrawal of Israeli forces and the return of all living hostages in exchange for some high-profile Palestinian prisoners. But keep in mind, there are some very loud voices within Benjamin Netanyahu's fragile coalition government who want the fighting to resume at the end of the first stage, even if it means sacrificing the lives of the remaining hostages. Guys?
And Danielle, you've said the word fragile a lot. That includes the fragile ceasefire that does continue to hold, but we do expect to see more hostages released this week. What do we know about the Americans who are still being held?
Yeah, well, we're going to see the next hostage released tomorrow, and that will include 29-year-old Arbel Yahoud, who you might remember should have been released back on Saturday, but there was an issue there. But we're expecting to see her released tomorrow. Agam Berger, who is the last female soldier. We could possibly see the first American released as part of this deal. Mr. Keith Siegel, who is in his 60s, a grandfather. And soon after that, we don't know exactly when, but Sagi Dekalchen, who is in his mid-30s, is expected to be released at some point in the first stage. But in terms of the list tomorrow, as part of the terms of the deal, Hamas should be providing that list 24 hours before the release of the hostages. Guys?
Right. Danielle, thank you so much.
Let's stay in the Middle East. Some soldiers in Syria who fought under former President Bashar al-Assad are turning in their guns and military identification for a chance at a fresh start under the new government. NBC News correspondent Hala Garani was on the ground in Damascus and has their stories.
A man standing on a plastic chair calls out names. Hundreds of former Assad regime soldiers pressed against the gates of what once was one of the dictator's party buildings in Damascus. They are here to surrender weapons and register as civilians. Syria's new leaders are promising amnesty and reconciliation. The former conscripts stream past a desk, walking over the picture of Bashar al-Assad. They write down names, a quick photo with a simple smartphone, and up to the first floor where they hand over weapons and military IDs. Military service was compulsory in Syria. This man, a crucifix hanging around his neck, hands over his pistol and signs a form. We talk to men lined up outside waiting for their turn. We submit our papers, a man named Ali tells me, and receive a new document stating that we won't be prosecuted. Another man says, we don't know what questions they'll ask, but we need to find a job to live. They're given a 3-month temporary civilian ID, which they need to work and move around in the new Syria. The man in charge of this operation says the atmosphere is relaxed overall, but the sheer number of people applying for civilian permits is sometimes overwhelming. The process, he says, is no questions asked. Those who have weapons hand them over, Tariq Youssef tells me. There is no detention or investigation. While this process unfolds in the upper floors of this former Ba'ath Party building, we find remnants of the old Syria strewn across the basement level. All this paperwork all over the floor. You see files, you see Ba'ath Party IDs here, for example. These are soldiers or functionaries of the state. They abandoned their paperwork and took off. They're not going to need these in the new Syria. Room after room ransacked by civilians in the days after Assad fell. This is the old regime patches. It already feels like a relic, and it hasn't really been that long. Back outside, the crowd swells, while one after the other, the young men answer a few basic questions before being sent on their way. On their faces, the future of Syria, hopeful, but still uncertain. Hala Gorani, NBC News, Damascus.
Now to a troubling case out of South Carolina that has a global reach. A state politician is fighting for justice for his teenage son who died by suicide after falling victim to a sextortion scheme. A Nigerian man is now facing prosecution. He was extradited to the U.S. to face charges for his alleged role in the crime. NBC News correspondent Valerie Castro has the story.
For South Carolina State Representative Brandon Guffey, the memories of his son Gavin.
He learned to be the class clown and always working on bringing a smile to people's faces.
Are shaded with sadness for the dreams that will never be realized.
A big heart. He loved art. So many drawings and paintings. He was planning on going to college to become an art teacher.
The 17-year-old died by suicide in 2022 just after graduating from high school after federal prosecutors say he fell victim to a sextortion scheme over Instagram. His family says they are finally getting some justice. Authorities extraditing Hassan Bun Hussein Abalor Lawal, a 24-year-old Nigerian man prosecutors say orchestrated the scheme, pretending to be a woman with usernames like Bella Janet 28 and Alice Connor 566. They say Lawal coerced Gavin into sending compromising photos, then threatened to leak the images and ruin the teen's reputation unless he sent money.
The defendant, while in Nigeria, hid behind a screen and terrorized Guffey. These alleged actions are reprehensible, and there is zero tolerance for predatory behavior going unchecked.
Even after Gavin's death, Guffey says the extortion continued and spread to other members of his family.
Once they found out that I was an elected official, to turn the heat up more and to try and extort that even further. It's just very disheartening.
In the wake of his son's death, Guffey mobilizing to get Gavin's law passed in South Carolina, which now makes sextortion a felony offense. The FBI saying sextortion of minors is a growing problem, reporting 13,000 incidents between October 2021 and March 2023, resulting in at least 20 suicides.
We have drawn a line in the sand in the battle of good and evil for our children. And I think that the message we said early on was that we would hunt somebody down to the ends of the earth if they hurt our kids. And this just proves it.
Lawal pleaded not guilty to charges of child exploitation and cyber stalking resulting in death, among several other charges. His attorney did not immediately respond to NBC News' request for comment. The extradition, a major step since the crime is often perpetrated from abroad. Guffey, emotional, seeing the accused man brought back for trial.
This whole process
but eager to continue pushing for justice.
It's just the beginning of the next fight.
While protecting other families before it's too late.
My ultimate goal is that no other child will feel the way that Gavin did before he took his life, and that no other parent will have to feel the pain that we have had to feel. So regardless of where I go in life, that will be my mission until the end of my days.
And our thanks to Valerie Castro for that report. Instagram's parent company, Meta, did respond to an NBC News request for comment, saying in part, "We've launched new safety features to help prevent this abuse in the first place, like blurring nude images and DMs and warning people of the risks of sending them and letting people know when they're chatting to someone in another country."
Well, coming up, a deadly and dangerous outbreak.
The historic number of tuberculosis cases now reported in Kansas and what that could mean for the surrounding area. That's next.
Welcome back. In Kansas, cases of tuberculosis are on the rise as the state deals with one of the largest outbreaks in U.S. history.
As of Friday, dozens of people were being treated across 2 counties. NBC News correspondent Ann Thompson explains how officials there are trying to get it under control.
A modern-day outbreak of an ancient disease, tuberculosis, a bacterial infection that affects the lungs, now in the Kansas City, Kansas area. State officials report 67 active cases in 2 counties and 79 latent cases where people are infected but not sick and can't spread it to others. There are 2 deaths associated with the outbreak, which health officials say started in January 2024. Though officials say the risk to the public remains very low, a state official told the Kansas Senate committee they are doing everything they can.
We have and still have mobilized staff and resources addressing an unprecedented tuberculosis outbreak in one of our counties.
Some of the patients are under the care of the University of Kansas Health System and Dr. Dana Hawkinson.
How sick are these people in this outbreak?
I mean, it ranges from very mild symptoms that may have been persistent for several weeks or months to extremely ill patients who've had symptoms for quite a while, but then seek medical care. And by that time, they are extremely ill.
How long does it take to clear?
We do have treatment for this disease, and typically the treatment lasts about 6 months.
TB is an airborne disease spread when someone coughs or sneezes. Symptoms include coughing, chest pains, fever, and fatigue.
So what can you do to protect yourself? Well, Dr. Hawkinson says there really isn't much. If you do get TB, he says you need to see a doctor, take the medicines, and then work with your public health officials so they can trace your contacts, notify them, test them, and stop the spread. I'm Ann Thompson in New York. Now back to you.
All right, Ann, thank you. Well, NBC News medical contributor Dr. Natalie Azar is here to help us understand a little bit more, explain this outbreak, what we need to know. Good morning. Thanks for being with us. So, I mean, it's not something we tend to worry about, right? Catching tuberculosis in this day and age, but how concerned should people be?
So let's just put this into a little bit of historical context. So for decades, we saw a significant decline in tuberculosis cases, owed in large part to the incredible programs that we have and that we have, done for the last number of years. And then we hit 2020, and there was sort of this artificial depression of cases because nobody was testing for TB. Everybody was testing for COVID-19, and all resources and everything pivoted there. Then in the last couple of years, including up till now, there's been an uptick in cases because now we're identifying more cases. We're testing again, not just for COVID. We're testing for things like tuberculosis. And so that's part of the explanation. I think what is really important, I want people to understand, is that the risk to the general public is very low. People who are at increased risk for TB exposure, people who are incarcerated, people who live in homeless shelters, if you work in a hospital, like I have been exposed or technically at risk my entire career for tuberculosis. We have to get tested every year. If you're immunocompromised, if you travel to areas where TB is more endemic, you're at a greater risk. So I just want people to just take a pause. TB never went away. I just was mentioning to you guys last year there were over 600 cases in New York City. We just don't talk about it the way we talk about flu and COVID.
So beyond like the testing, and that's why we're seeing more cases, are there any other reasons we might be seeing more cases, especially let's say in the Kansas area?
Right. Well, and so specifically why there and why now? I think CDC is kind of investigating that. It's kind of an unusual hotspot. We definitely associate more TB cases with urban areas, you know, people who are living in cramped housing or traveling on a subway. Those are all theoretically risk factors. But I think we're also seeing a little bit of a rebound in cases, just like we saw that rebound of RSV right after COVID-19. Remember, the same things that fuel spread of those respiratory viruses also, fuel the spread of TB. So there was less mobility during the pandemic years, less people coming from foreign countries. The majority of cases in this country are usually in individuals and communities that are not U.S. born. And so that's just one of the risk factors.
There's some words here that associated with this that I think we heard in that piece, we saw on some graphics, latent,
versus
active, inactive. What does that mean?
Right. So latent TB refers to that you've been exposed to tuberculosis, but you haven't developed infection. And so that can happen, like somebody can cough on you 20 or 30 years ago. You may have been exposed to TB and not know it, and you have what's called latent TB, and you can detect that with a skin test or with a blood test. Okay. Active tuberculosis, don't be that scared. You probably don't have latent TB, Savannah. And with latent TB, you're not contagious because you're not having any symptoms. It's one more thing Savannah's gonna worry about. But active tuberculosis, on the other hand, you're coughing, you have weight loss, night sweats, you're actually pretty sick, and that is when you become contagious. The majority of cases in this country are actually latent as opposed to active tuberculosis, another thing to keep in mind, and we pick those people up via screening, and we give them antibiotics to prevent conversion to active tuberculosis.
Wow. So folks are probably seeing all this right now and wondering, are there things you can do to protect yourself? Yeah. There's a vaccine, but it's not one we use in America.
Right. I mean, with very rare exceptions, is there a vaccine that is recommended here? Because it's just not so prevalent. But yes, of course, if you're concerned, you definitely can ask for a test to see if you've been exposed in the past. If you have symptoms, you should wear a mask and you should be tested, and they will test you for TB if there's real cause for concern. And if you do test positive, there's treatment, and also your contact should also be evaluated and tested as well. It's very treatable.
To the latent concept.
Yes.
So people can just have it all those years and it never turns into anything and they're fine and you could, have it forever?
Yes, you absolutely can. So what happens is you get exposed to tuberculosis. It lives in your lung, and it's encased in sort of like a wall of immune protection. Okay. That wall can break with older age, with certain medications. And so that's kind of where we get nervous about people who have maybe had past exposure, who then have to take treatment for rheumatoid arthritis, let's say, and could develop active TB. So if you are concerned that there's, you ride the subway, you can always, you work in a hospital, you can get tested for latent TB. And there are antibiotics that individuals can take, not all, because there are some risks associated with the antibiotics that can prevent you ever developing active TB from having had exposure, which is called latent TB.
I think I'm going to go with, you said don't be too concerned. Dr.
That's my takeaway. That is definitely my takeaway. You bet.
Coming up, the Fed says it's pressing pause on interest rate cuts.
We're digging into the decision and what it could mean for your bottom line next.
Welcome back. Later today, the Federal Reserve will release its first decision on interest rates since President Trump returned to power. And for those hoping that borrowing costs will go down, well, you might have to wait a little bit longer.
That's right. The Fed is expected to hold interest rates steady after the U.S. economy closed out the year with strong employment. But remember that stubborn inflation. Meanwhile, President Trump has been pushing for a cut in rates telling leaders at last week's World Economic Forum that he would, quote, demand that interest rates drop immediately.
NBC News senior business correspondent Christine Romans is here to help break it all down for us. So we've been seeing drops over the last few times.
Yep.
Why will we likely not see one this time?
There were 3 drops in a row, a half a point, a quarter point, a quarter point. Because remember, rewind, the Fed had been raising interest rates to try to fight inflation.
Can't forget
and then started to lower them again. But now we think because inflation is still a little stubborn, because the economy is still doing so well, you don't cut interest rates too much when the economy is strong. Otherwise, you can fuel inflation again. So we think the Fed's going to stand pat today.
From a practical standpoint, what's it mean for our money?
It means mortgage rates still near 7%. It means credit card rates still at record highs. It means borrowing costs right where they were basically at the end of last year. And some of those calls for mortgage rates to drift lower, closer to 5%, a lot of people think that they're going to stay here a little higher until the Fed, higher for longer is what we've been saying in the business, that rates stay higher for longer. So if you have credit card debt, you got to pay it down. If you've got any kind of this high interest debt, really focus on that. If you've got savings, if you've got money making nothing in a bank account, still look for a certificate of deposit or a high yield savings account, because you can play the interest rate game on the other side by getting more interest for your money.
We mentioned President Trump would like to see the rates drop. Here's a little bit of what he had to say while speaking to Davos.
Come down.
You said that you would demand that the interest rates come down.
Well, I would.
Do you expect
I would put in a strong statement.
Do you expect the Fed to listen to you?
Yeah.
Are you going to talk to Powell about this and bringing the rates down?
At the right time, I would. I think I know interest rates much better than they do.
And that was when he was asked about his comments at Davos. What power does he have? Because the point is, this is supposed to be an independent thing, right? The Fed board's supposed to do its thing, and the president is supposed to, watch.
Yeah,
right?
He had said at Davos, he said he wanted energy prices to come down. He wanted OPEC to lower energy prices, and all the central banks around the world to lower interest rates. They're independent for a reason, because presidents would like lower rates because it makes the economy bubble on their watch. And the Fed is looking at all the scenarios in the economy right now, but also not talking about it. But what will Trump's policies mean? The potential for tariffs mean for inflation? What will tax cuts mean for inflation? So there are a lot of things on the Fed's plate here that could make them be cautious and not move on rates right now.
So let's talk about whether it be inflation for certain reasons, why people just feel like things are so expensive, how painful it can be to go to the grocery store. We've been asking you a lot. There they are, eggs and these prices, I think partially because of bird flu as well as inflation, but what's going on?
Eggs are the new gas prices, I've been saying. People are like, what do you mean? I just found some for $6.99, and they were the last 2 boxes on the shelves. So bird flu has been raging for 2 years, and that has spiked egg prices. The USDA just forecast that egg prices will rise another 20% this year after being up almost 40% last year. That is serious sticker shock in terms of eggs, and eggs go into all your bakery products, and the restaurants use eggs. So this has become kind of like the real field economic indicator for so many people, even as grocery prices generally are rising more slowly. I have seen nothing from the Trump administration about eggs in particular and bird flu in particular. USDA forecasting another 20% higher egg prices this year.
Whew. And I have to imagine it's hard to fully predict egg prices because it totally is going to depend on what happens with the bird flu at the end of the day, right?
This is a bird flu story, 100% a bird flu story. So there are a lot of different levers in the economy, but it's interesting how this one has really captivated the public right now.
All right. Christine, thank you so much as always.
You're welcome.
Staying on your wallet, Starbucks' new CEO is brewing up some changes in hopes of reworking consumer traffic.
CNBC senior markets correspondent Dom Chu joins us with that and some other money news for us. Hi, Dom. Good morning.
Hi. Good morning, Savannah. Good morning, Joe. So Starbucks' new CEO, Brian Niccol, has a turnaround plan for the coffee chain, but first he has to tame the flood of mobile orders. On the company's earnings call last night, Niccol called out the bottleneck of mobile orders 5 different times. He says orders come in faster than customers get there, and baristas rush to pile those orders on the counter is coming at the expense of providing a more personal touch to in-store customers. Niccol says Starbucks will work to sequence mobile orders with the help of an algorithm to improve the overall efficiency. Meanwhile, Volkswagen is reportedly considering more U.S. factories for its Audi and Porsche brands to avoid any potential fallout from tariffs being threatened by President Trump. The German newspaper Handelsblatt says the 2 luxury brands are especially exposed to any potential new U.S. trade barriers because, unlike the core Volkswagen brand, they currently do not make their cars here in America. And Chipotle is giving away up to 50,000 free entrees to fans during the Super Bowl. The burrito chain says when something extra happens during the game, it will drop a text-to-claim code on X and Story on Instagram. Examples of extra events include if the Chiefs or Eagles convert a 4th down, kick an extra point, or make a 2-point conversion. Chipotle is also offering free guac and queso to rewards members with the purchase of any entree the day after the Super Bowl with the promo code Extra25. So look out for all those food extras. And by the way, we didn't even get into the whole Don Julio tequila chicken sandwich at Popeyes. Maybe that's going to be later on.
Are they sending those to people, too?
I don't know if they're sending those to people,
right,
but they got to cook off the tequila first.
All right, Dom, thanks so much. Appreciate it.
Got it.
So TikTok may be back online, but time is running out for the app to find an American investor. If not, the company could actually face that nationwide ban here in the U.S. Well, here's a look at some of the major tech executives that could be in the running.
The list of potential TikTok buyers continues to grow, with President Trump saying,
It's a big one, that's a good thing.
The latest, tech giant Microsoft.
Is Microsoft in discussion for acquiring TikTok?
I would say yes.
You spoke
A lot of interest in TikTok.
Microsoft had no comment, but CEO Satya Nadella emerged as a top contender to buy TikTok in 2020 when Mr. Trump initially wanted to ban the app. Other suitors could include tech titan Elon Musk and Oracle founder Larry Ellison.
Are you open to Elon buying TikTok?
I would be if he wanted to buy it. I'd like Larry to buy it, too.
Musk notably has not commented on rumors he'd make a bid. Ellison's Oracle already stores TikTok data. Mr. Trump signing an executive order last week, pausing a ban on the app from taking effect for 75 days, while his administration explores a potential sale or investment, later saying it could happen within 30 days. TikTok's parent company's Chinese ownership sparking national security concerns that China could steal user data or manipulate content. TikTok says that's not true. Those concerns echoing around another Chinese-owned app climbing the charts, DeepSeek, an AI chatbot now on the White House's radar.
As for the national security implications, I spoke with NSC this morning. They are looking into what those may be.
DeepSeek notes in its privacy policy it collects user keystrokes and stores that information on Chinese servers.
All right, so I've been given DeepSeek a trial run, and one of the issues that I saw was this question about censorship. I'll give you an example. I asked it about China's Great Firewall. That's their internet censorship and surveillance system. So the app, it paused for a moment, then it generated a lengthy answer, but that was only visible for a few seconds before it was deleted. It disappeared. That answer was then replaced with a message that said the question was, quote, beyond its scope, and it asked to talk about something else.
Coming up, good news for some of nature's gentle giants. The new push to save these endangered manatees, a push that's making a splash. That's next. It may seem like a small splash, but it was a big moment in the lives of 2 manatees in Puerto Rico. After months of rehabilitation, they're finally back out in the wild. NBC News correspondent George Solis introduces us to the people on the front lines fighting to help the manatees from going extinct.
It's a moment more than 5 years in the making. A significant swim that may help ensure the survival of a species. Endangered female manatees, Loisa and Taikaraya, celebrated as they were released back into the waters of the Caribbean. The pair orphaned as calves after getting stranded and separated from their mothers. Nursed back to health by the Caribbean Manatee Conservation Center in Puerto Rico, run by Dr. Antonio Mignucci. Just how exciting was it to be there for their release?
Signifies a lot to us after 5 years of rehabilitation work, that these animals finally get to touch the salt water again and be able to carry on for the species. What is most important is that they make their own living in the ocean.
The gentle giants, a national mammal of the island, now a healthy 500+ pounds, and part of a multi-group effort to protect and conserve the species, which has long been threatened by loss of habitat, boat strikes, and infection. There are about 13,000 manatees worldwide, including 500 to 700 in Puerto Rico. Dr. Mignucci says thanks to an army of volunteers, donors, and sponsors, the center has been able to rehabilitate and release 11 manatees. The center will keep tabs on Loisa and Taikaraya for the next year with the help of special radio transmitters as they begin life back in the waters where they belong. George Solis, NBC News.
Love those images. That's going to do it for this hour of Morning News Now. Stay with us. The news continues right now. Good morning, I'm Joe Fryer. Savannah will be with us in just a second. Right now on Morning News Now, RFK Jr. in the hot seat this morning. President Trump's pick to lead America's health strategy expected to be grilled by lawmakers on Capitol Hill, but not before a prominent member of the Kennedy family speaks out against his confirmation, calling him a predator. The latest on that, plus a new federal funding fight taking center stage, worrying workers and families across the U.S. The dizzying drone chaos in the skies that captivated Americans for weeks may not have been much of a national mystery at all. The White House is now revealing about who may have actually been responsible for all the confusion and concern. Also this morning, trust issues. There might be a growing rift between teens and AI amid the Trump administration's big tech boom. Younger Americans say they're actually losing faith in the safety of online content and what it all means for the future of an industry growing at lightning fast speed. Plus, the major makeovers that could be coming to a pair of Paris's most iconic sites. But not everyone in the City of Light is happy. We're going to give you the lowdown later in the hour. Big announcement yesterday. We were talking about the Louvre needing some renovations, and the president says they're going to get some renovations.
Yeah, I love that story.
All right. Let's start this morning with President Trump's nominee for Health and Human Services Secretary. He's going to be facing senators for the first time.
Yeah, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is expected to get tough questions from lawmakers on his controversial positions on a wide range of issues. NBC News chief Capitol Hill correspondent Ryan Nobles has more details on how his latest critic hits close to home.
As the son of a former attorney general and the nephew of President John F. Kennedy, RFK Jr. hails from one of the most famous political families in American history. And he's used that powerful platform to advocate for a wide range of controversial healthcare positions. And today, he will get a grilling on Capitol Hill. This morning, members of one of America's most famous families speaking out as Robert F. Kennedy Jr. faces Senate questions.
I've known Bobby my whole life. It's no surprise that he keeps birds of prey as pets, because Bobby himself is a predator.
In a letter, Caroline Kennedy, RFK Jr.'s first cousin and the daughter of President John F. Kennedy, warning the senators tasked with confirming her cousin to be the nation's health secretary that they should vote no.
His views on vaccines are dangerous and willfully misinformed. Bobby preys on the desperation of parents of sick children, vaccinating his own kids while building a following hypocritically discouraging other parents from vaccinating theirs.
President Trump's nominee has often advocated for a range of controversial healthcare positions and expressed deep skepticism about vaccines that doctors consider life-saving, from the COVID-19 shot to the polio vaccine.
There's no vaccine that is, safe and effective.
He also pushed false claims linking vaccines to autism and claimed that COVID-19 was designed to target certain ethnicities. Caroline Kennedy saying her personal concerns also led her to speak out.
I watched his younger brothers and cousins follow him down the path of drug addiction. His basement, his garage, his dorm room were always the center of the action. Where drugs were available, it was often a perverse scene of despair and violence.
RFK Jr. ignoring NBC questions about his cousin's letter.
Mr. Kennedy, do you have any response to the letter released by Caroline Kennedy?
His niece, Carrie Kennedy Meltzer, also expressing concerns, releasing private emails between the two from 2020 to 2022 in which her uncle repeats his skepticism and shares misinformation about the effectiveness of COVID-19 shots. Kennedy did not respond to the publication's request for comment, and NBC News has not obtained the emails. Kennedy now says he's not planning to take away anyone's vaccines. Trump has backed his nominee, and so far, Republicans are in line.
We don't agree on everything, but what we both agree is that America has some health problems.
RFK Jr. can afford to lose up to 3 Republican votes and still win confirmation. And while many Republicans have expressed concerns about some of his policy positions, they believe that he will not enact his own agenda, but stick to the agenda from the Trump administration. He's going to face 2 rounds of questioning, first in the Finance Committee today, and then tomorrow in the Health, Education, and Labor Committee.
All right, Ryan, thank you. And you can get full coverage of Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s confirmation hearing today. It starts at 10 a.m. Eastern. It's right here on NBC News Now.
Staying in Washington, President Trump's effort to freeze federal spending was temporarily blocked by a federal judge until early next week, with trillions of dollars in federal money on the line. All that as the Trump administration offered around 2 million federal workers the chance to quit and accept a severance package. NBC News Chief White House correspondent Peter Alexander has more.
Good morning to you. President Trump's broad order looking to remake the federal government by pausing federal spending on grants and loans quickly ignited a round of questions and concern with a lack of clarity about what programs would and would not be impacted before that federal judge temporarily halted the spending freeze. And it comes as President Trump is now trying to significantly shrink the federal workforce, offering millions of workers payouts to resign.
This morning, President Trump's sweeping spending freeze is on hold after a federal judge temporarily blocked the president's order to pause trillions of dollars in federal grants and loans, with a more permanent decision from the judge expected next Monday. The White House says the president's mission is clear.
Because he is being good steward of your taxpayer dollars.
The Trump administration says federal assistance that goes directly to individuals will not be impacted. But exactly what will be is still unknown.
Just to be clear, since you guys haven't identified, let's do it together just for Americans at home. Medicaid, is that affected?
I gave you a list of examples: Social Security, Medicare, welfare benefits, food stamps that will not be impacted by this federal pause. I can get you the full list after this briefing.
The White House never provided that list. But a new budget office memo obtained by NBC News says mandatory programs like Medicaid and SNAP, food stamps, will continue without pause. But at first, the new order caused chaos, with Medicaid portals temporarily down across the country. The press secretary later posting, "We have confirmed no payments have been affected." Democrats quickly condemned the president's actions.
This decision is lawless, it's destructive, it's dangerous, it's cruel.
Republicans are largely standing with President Trump, including a Georgia congressman who argued some low-income children who receive free school meals could be working instead.
You're telling me that kids who stay at home instead of going to work at Burger King and McDonald's during the summer should stay at home and get their free lunch?
And as part of his pledge to reduce government spending, President Trump is offering more than 2 million federal workers the option to quit now and to accept a severance package. The White House expects 5 to 10% of the workforce to take the deal, which it says could lead to $100 billion in annual savings. But the largest federal workers union argues, quote, the Trump administration's goal is to turn the federal government into a toxic environment where workers cannot stay, even if they want to.
Also this morning, NBC News has learned that ICE, the primary agency tasked with carrying out President Trump's pledge of mass deportations, is facing a budget shortfall, and Trump administration officials are considering pulling federal funding from the TSA to make up for it. That's according to two sources familiar with the discussions. The administration is also eyeing the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency. It's called CISA, and the Coast Guard as possible areas from which to redirect money to ICE. Spokespeople for DHS, ICE, and the White House did not immediately respond to requests for comment. Back to you.
All right, Peter, thank you.
But for more on Trump's sweeping spending freeze, let's bring in NBC News Capitol Hill correspondent and host of MSNBC's Way Too Early, Ali Vitale. Ali, so fun to have you on set.
Thanks. It's the afternoon, so I'm happy to be here.
I know. She's been up for literally 6 hours. So thank you very much for making time and stopping by. So tell us more about what this move means for the country. How does it impact Americans?
Well, look, this kind of a spending freeze caused so much chaos and confusion, and you have to think about even where we are in the calendar right now. It's the end of the month. When you're openly questioning, does this impact housing subsidies? Does this impact things like SNAP or WIC? This is the way that people pay their rent and get their food. So when there's confusion around that, you're going to have constituents calling lawmakers' offices. The Hill was abuzz with that yesterday. And you're going to then have lawmakers feeling, if they're on the Democratic side, compelled to speak out. And if they're on the Republican side, trying to find a way to signal to the administration, hey, guys, you either got to get more specific about this or you got to turn back. But what the administration has consistently said is this is a freeze. This isn't permanent. For some of these programs, eventually, it's going to be.
Yeah, and these are issues that affect everyday Americans. When you're talking about food, when you're talking about their rent, when you're talking about their health care, clearly Democrats are upset. Republicans obviously are feeling some pressure on this. So how are we seeing lawmakers respond?
They're feeling pressure on this, and it's an easy time to be a Democrat in this moment because they're able to say, look, we told you they were going to do things like this. We told you they were going to come after your health care. They were going to come after the very programs that you use to live your life. So for Democrats, this is a mess around, find out kind of moment. They've been signposting this all along. Republicans, though, there were some interesting statements, especially coming from governors who were basically having to look at their state budgets and say, oh, my God, can we fix a $2 billion windfall if we're without these federal funds? The answer is no. But then you also heard from people in states like Louisiana, New Hampshire, Republican governors there, and their statements basically said, we see what the federal government is trying to do. We support the idea that they're trying to curtail spending, but maybe let's take a quicker look at this and a closer look at this, especially when it comes to things like Medicaid funding. The White House said that the freezes and glitches on those websites weren't related to this, but the timing was a little bit convenient, and you can tell from the statements that governors and state legislatures were concerned.
Oh, so a judge blocked this until Monday. We'll hear more about it then. How has the Trump administration responded to that block, and what is next?
Well, they blocked it until Monday, not because they're blocking it on the merits, but because they're saying, because of all the confusion, we need a little more time and we need a little bit of more information. But they're also putting the onus on the plaintiffs, the everyday Americans who are saying this is going to impact them in a negative way. They're saying you have to substantively show us that. And what the administration is doing is they're turning to the wording of this very vague memo. The only thing that wasn't vague is that they put the word freeze and pause. That's what they're really going to lean on. But again, what they're saying to all these agencies is we're going to freeze and pause it for now, but they are trying to make cuts. And so some of these programs are eventually going to go by the wayside.
Let's talk about these buyouts offered to 2 million federal workers. That's a lot of federal workers. Yeah. Elon Musk sort of did something similar with X back in the day. Does this speak to maybe Musk's influence in the Trump administration? And do we know, I know it's early, how these are being received? Do a lot of employees want to take these?
I can tell you the concern that I have heard from government workers in D.C., strangers, sources flooding my inbox saying they're laying people off here, they're furloughing people there. There's just confusion about the way that people are going to, A, make their living and their paycheck, but also the career civil servants who work in government and make the government function. It's not just 4 years in and out. Every 4 years, new political appointees flood these agencies. Yeah, that's true. But that's not just the way that government functions. In each of these agencies, it's normal everyday Americans, just like me and you, who are working for the government at whatever agency level. So the administration wants to be able to show that they've made big cuts, that they've curtailed the power of government. Okay, estimates put this at about maybe 10% of the workforce could take this, but there are concerns about a brain drain. There are concerns about what this buyout actually means, if the administration can actually even offer it. But just like with everything we've seen in the last week, the idea is to flood the zone, put these things out there, and then if you have to, litigate them in court later, because the tone setting is really one of the central features here.
Ali Vitale, great to have you with us. Thank you so much.
Have a good night's sleep.
Oh, yeah, I appreciate that.
Turning now to Alaska, where new video shows the crash landing of a military jet at Eielson Air Force Base. The pilot survived the crash. NBC News correspondent Morgan Chesky has more on this.
Yeah, this was a terrifying ordeal, especially when you see the video capturing the final moments before that F-35 crashes onto the tarmac and explodes on impact. Fortunately, the Air Force says that pilot is doing okay after suffering an in-flight malfunction during a scheduled training exercise, and that pilot able to eject safely just in time.
This morning, a terrifying crash caught on camera. Video showing an F-35 jet falling from the sky, crashing onto the tarmac at Eielson Air Force Base near Fairbanks, Alaska, and exploding into a fireball.
There's a plane crash on Eielson. They have asked for mutual aid.
Miraculously, the pilot somehow survived, safely ejecting from the aircraft before floating to the ground in a parachute. Officials say the F-35, assigned to the 354th Fighter Wing, was flying in a local training exercise Tuesday when something went wrong.
It went up in flames, and I didn't want to drive any further.
Crews taking the pilot to a nearby medical facility for evaluation.
The pilot was executing standard procedures and executing their respective mission, and essentially experienced an in-flight malfunction.
This crash comes after a string of incidents involving military aircraft in recent years. In November 2023, an F-35 fighter jet went missing, then crash landed in rural South Carolina, the pilot surviving.
I'm sorry, what happened?
We got a pilot in the house, and I guess he landed in my backyard.
Back in Alaska, Air Force officials still looking into the cause of that fiery crash.
We're thankful that the pilot and those responding to the incident are safe, and will continue to conduct an investigation into the causes of this incident.
Now, following this crash, the commander of the 354th Fighter Wing said that they still have full faith in the capability of the F-35 as the premier fighter for the U.S. Air Force. We'll send it back to you.
Ray Morgan, thank you.
Well, also this morning, we're finally getting an answer from the White House on those mysterious drone sightings in New Jersey and other East Coast states.
The many unexplained sightings led to a wave of panic, sparking conspiracy theories, even shutting down an airport at one point. NBC News correspondent Emily Ikeda is here with more on this. Emily, good morning.
Hey, guys, good morning to you. It appears the majority of those sightings may not be so mysterious after all. The White House revealing in many cases the drones were actually authorized to fly by the FAA. Still unclear, though, exactly what they were doing.
For weeks, videos of mysterious lights in the night sky have been causing chaos, with residents posting them all over social media.
Oh, it's slowing down.
The sightings driving concerns around who's responsible.
It's a complete violation of privacy and unnerving. I couldn't sleep last night.
Now, the White House is pulling back the curtain on the flurry of reported drone sightings, including near President Trump's golf club in New Jersey.
After research and study, the drones that were flying over New Jersey in large numbers were authorized to be flown by the FAA for research and various other reasons.
Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt underscoring,
in time, it got worse due to curiosity. This was not the enemy.
The reaction online swift.
Why couldn't they just tell us that when it was going on?
Others remain skeptical.
Was the research an activity? Okay, like you got to tell us.
Ocean County Sheriff, who deployed officers and cameras to track drone activity, wishes the transparency came sooner.
When we tell the public, see something, say something, report it, I don't want to lose their partnership if we're not honest and upfront right away with them.
The research company Enigma Labs has tallied 650 drone sightings since November that led to a brief airport closure in New York, temporary restrictions by the FAA on drone flights, and calls from politicians on both sides of the aisle for federal assistance. While the Biden administration last month tried downplaying any nefarious nature of the drones, telling Today,
"These are lawful and legal aviation activities, manned and unmanned drones and civil aviation aircraft or commercial aircraft."
Now, with the newest update in the new year, the saga around suspicious drone activity appears to be grounded.
New Jersey's governor posting overnight he's glad there was no known threat to the public. The FAA has not commented, deferring questions to the White House. No word on what kind of research the FAA had authorized, guys.
Obviously, maybe more questions now
Still
than
questions,
before.
yeah.
All right, Emily, I gotta thanks so much.
Thanks, guys.
All right, some severe storms are heading for the south, and they could bring damaging winds, maybe even some rain. So let's get a check now on your Morning News Now weather.
Angie Lastman's with us. Hi, Angie. Good morning.
Hi, guys. Good morning, too. We've got some severe storms across the south, and we've got some wintry weather for folks across parts of the Northeast. So notice a little bit of that snow in the Northeast. We'll talk about that, but notice a little bit of this rain here working across parts of the south. That's where we're going to see kind of this expansion of this system as the next 2 days go on. Today, it's this rain that becomes more widespread as we see the day progress. So notice we look from Arkansas to Texas, up into portions of Kansas, and that's where most of the thunderstorm activity is going to remain through the day today. And we do have a chance to see a couple of these thunderstorms spark up and become severe. That means gusts up to 60 miles per hour will be possible. We'll have the damaging hail on the table as well. The one good news is that we're not going to see a big tornado threat across this region. But again, Sherman, Dallas, stretching down to Kerrville, all included in that Waco as well through the afternoon hours and evening hours today. We're also going to see some of that moisture prompt the potential for some flooding. So specifically from southeastern portions of Oklahoma into northern Texas, Dallas included in that, we'll see the potential for some flooding. This is going to be some really good dosing of rain across this region, maybe upwards of 4, even 5 inches. So no surprise if we see some flooding concerns across that region through the day today. We've got more rain on the way here from this system as we get into the day tomorrow. So from the Midwest, stretching down to the Gulf Coast, that's where we'll essentially essentially see this kind of set up and bring the potential for some really heavy rain for folks there. We'll also see another round of this kind of threat for severe weather. It'll be a little higher as we go into tomorrow compared to today. But again, the hail and the damaging winds are going to be those biggest threats. We'll see a couple of tornadoes possible as well across parts of Louisiana and stretching into Texas. The flooding threat, on the other hand, is much larger, stretching from basically the Ohio Valley all the way to Texas. We'll see the river flooding on the table as well, with, again, more of that kind of intense moisture working across this region. By Friday, that rain will stretch basically from New England to Florida. We'll see a wintry mix of some of that snow in some of the cooler areas, especially stretching closer to the Great Lakes and the interior Northeast, but rain on the table as we round out our work week. In the meantime, though, we've got winter alerts up across the Northeast and parts of the Great Lakes as some of this snow works across this region. This is from a separate clipper system, and this is going to be out of here by the time we get into the later parts of tomorrow. But even still, we'll see some of these snow squalls possible. That means that travel is going to be difficult in the areas that are going to see some snow, but also in some of the other spots where we'll see some really ramped up winds. And we've got the 57 million people under these winter alert or wind alerts rather across this region. And for good reason, 40, 50 mile per hour wind speeds. That, of course, is going to create that blowing snow, why we're looking at reduced visibilities. But it's also going to likely cause some difficulties at airports up and down parts of the East Coast. We've got New York, Washington, D.C. dealing with those wind speeds over 40 miles per hour today. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see some delays when it comes to that. Meanwhile, weather whiplash. We had record cold last week. Now we've got temperatures way above normal with kind of this switch of this pattern. So we've essentially got all this tropical air working up into parts of the midsection of the country. And it shows with our temperatures. Notice where we were or where we're going to be today in Memphis, 62 degrees. That's 36 degrees warmer than where we were just a week ago. We've got 50s in Kansas, 60s in Dallas, 70s in Houston. These temperatures not really, where we normally are across this across this region for this time of year, but essentially we're going to be back into those 50s, guys, here for tomorrow too. It'll be balmy with consideration to where we were last week at
Get the time. Sunscreen on, beach towel.
I'm sure some people in the Midwest are going to break out the shorts.
Without a doubt.
That is really some whiplash. All right, thanks, Angie. We've got much more to come on this hour of Morning News Now, including some eye-opening new research on just how much America's teens actually trust those big AI companies with the content they see online.
First, after the break, Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu heading to the White House next week to meet with President Trump. We are on the ground in Israel with the latest when we come back.
We are back with the latest on how the Trump administration's impact could be felt in the Middle East. President Trump has invited Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu to visit the White House next week, making him the first foreign leader to sit down with the president during his second term. This comes as Trump's Middle East envoy Steve Witkoff is set to visit the region today. NBC News chief international correspondent Keir Simmons joins us now from outside the Prime Minister's office in Jerusalem with more on this. Hi, Keir. Good morning.
Hey there, good morning to you. And Steve Witkoff is here in Israel. A few hours ago, we saw an IDF helicopter flying into the compound behind me there. Whether that was carrying Steve Witkoff, President Trump's envoy for the Middle East, to meet with Prime Minister Netanyahu, we cannot say. But there are reports this morning, and this itself would be history-making. There are reports that he has traveled to Gaza today. This morning, the Trump administration's opening mission to Israel. President Trump's envoy, Steve Witkoff, here today. He said he wants to visit Gaza, a first for a White House official in almost 2 decades. His agenda also including a meeting with Prime Minister Netanyahu. Next week, Netanyahu will be the first world leader to meet with President Trump in Washington. But every step on the road to peace will be harder than the last.
I'm glad I'm doing it. I don't know if I could do it for 4 years, but because it's a lot. Although President Trump would probably be able to convince me.
Gaza's fragile ceasefire is holding, and the families of hostages are hoping. Among the 3 remaining Americans held by Hamas and allied groups, 64-year-old Keith Siegel, originally from North Carolina, could come out as soon as this week. And 36-year-old American Sagi Dekelchen, who was injured during the October 7th attack, among the 26 still to be freed in Phase 1. Israel now believes 8 of the 26 are dead. There's no news of Shiri Bibas and her 2 children. Kafir was not yet 1 when he was taken. We spoke to their cousin 14 months ago.
He's only 10 months old, that we don't want to celebrate his first birthday without him.
Amid all this, Phase 2 talks are imminent toward a permanent ceasefire, releasing the remaining living hostages and returning more Palestinian prisoners. In the 15 months since Hamas attacked Israel on October 7th, almost 50,000 have died in Gaza. Many more now returning to devastated homes in the north. And yet, Hamas soldiers this week are wearing clean uniforms, taking selfies and holding babies. Gaza's future cannot include Hamas, say almost all sides. Hamas has different ideas. Now, comments by President Trump that Gaza should be cleaned out and that Palestinians should be taken by the Jordanians and the Egyptians has caused consternation in those countries and been rejected by those countries. Calls between President Trump's Secretary of State and the foreign minister and leader of those separate countries, well, those did not include those kinds of comments by President Trump. And indeed, Steve Witkoff, I understand from a senior Gulf diplomat, was in Saudi Arabia before he was here in Israel. So despite that kind of talk, it does appear as if the talks between the different parties continue. Savannah?
All right, Keir, thank you.
New developments this morning in the JonBenet Ramsey murder case. Her father, John, met with police Monday this week to discuss the unsolved 1996 murder. Now he's speaking out, saying he's hopeful investigators are finally on the right track after nearly 30 years. NBC's Stephanie Goss spoke with him about the case.
Just a few months ago, John Ramsey said he was hopeful a new police chief in Boulder would push the investigation into his daughter's murder forward. Now, after meeting with police leadership, he told us last night that he's hopeful progress is finally being made.
Nearly 30 years after JonBenet Ramsey's body was discovered in the basement of her Boulder, Colorado home, her murder remains unsolved. But her father, John Ramsey, has not given up. The 81-year-old met with the new Boulder police chief on Monday.
Did you leave the meeting on Monday thinking this case is in good hands?
Yes, I did. I did. And that's the first time I felt that way, quite honestly, in 28 years.
What impressed you?
They were just open to sincerely discuss the case. I was just very impressed with the caliber of the leadership now. And that gave me great hope.
Early media coverage of the 1996 murder all but accused the 6-year-old's parents of killing their own daughter, or at least covering it up.
I did not kill my daughter, JonBenet.
I did not have anything to do with it. I love that child with my whole of my heart and soul.
But within a month of her murder, police discovered male DNA on JonBenet's body that did not belong to her family.
They kept that result secret from the DA, certainly from us. The problem the police had was it conflicted with their conclusion that the family were the killers.
The DNA, a central focus of a recent Netflix documentary, sharply critical of Boulder police.
There is absolutely zero innocent explanation for foreign DNA to end up on a 6-year-old's underwear.
A cloud of suspicion followed the family until 2008, when police publicly cleared them. There have never been any charges in the case.
Our family reputation has been damaged quite severely by the police. And if the only way it will be mostly restored is if there is a killer caught, period.
In response to the documentary, the Boulder police chief acknowledged the investigation could have been handled better all those years ago, but says the case is far from closed.
Our goal is to find JonBenet Ramsey's killer. Our commitment to that has never wavered.
John Ramsey is hopeful new DNA technology called forensic genetic genealogy that has helped solve decades-old cases could eventually lead investigators to JonBenet's killer.
That's how it's going to get solved, in my opinion.
The Boulder Police Department confirmed Monday's meeting but did not provide details, while the police chief has previously said a cold case review team assembled in 2023 by the state gave police a number of recommendations that they are pursuing. Back to you.
All right, Stephanie, thank you. Coming up, we are going to take a closer look at teens' relationship with AI.
After the break, the new research that suggests younger Americans are growing less trusting of content they see online and how that could end up impacting a multi-billion-dollar industry. It's up next.
We're back with a new study that shows many American teenagers don't trust major tech companies when it comes to artificial intelligence. The study was released just this morning by Common Sense Media. It shows that more than half of U.S. teens say they can't trust tech companies to prioritize their mental health or their safety. The nonprofit says that teens are growing skeptical of online content over negative experiences with AI, and that could pose a credibility challenge in the rapidly evolving tech race. We're joined now by the founder and CEO of Common Sense Media, Jim Steyer. Jim, always good to see you. Thanks for joining us this morning. We appreciate it. I mean, first, just kind of walk us through the demographics of the teens your team spoke with, who they are, and what they told you about their experiences with tech, especially artificial intelligence.
So this is a broad representative sample of teens under the age of 18, and it shows, quite frankly, that they are exposed to AI and understand AI probably better than us adults do. And over 40% of teens said that they have already encountered false and misleading information when they're using AI. So they're having experiences where there are misleading images or videos or other kinds of fake content. And that sort of builds a broader trust factor or lack thereof with big tech companies in general. You know, there's been so much hype over the tech industry lately in the politics world, and I think that teens are very skeptical indeed.
If there's any good news, it's that they're realizing things are fake. I guess I'll take that. It's like at least they're paying attention. I mean, overall, just what's the sentiment teens have toward big tech companies right now?
Overall, it's pretty negative. I mean, over 60% of them basically think that big tech companies do not care about their mental health, do not really think that they're going to make decisions when they build the products that are in the best interest of the consumer, particularly young people. And they're also worried about their privacy and personal data. And I think in general, they have a very serious and healthy skepticism about whether or not the tech industry cares about them or just making a whole lot of money. And they see AI as the new frontier. They're actually using it, and they're really skeptical. So there's a big trust gap here, period.
What are some of the changes young people would like to see then?
Well, I think that, number one, they'd really like to see privacy safeguards. They're very aware, thanks to Common Sense Media and other folks, that their personal privacy and data actually matters. So they want to see more privacy safeguards. They want to make sure that AI-labeled content is clearly labeled as AI as opposed to human. They understand that a lot of AI can seem like a human set of generated content, but actually it's artificially generated. So they're quite sophisticated. They want new safeguards, and they really want education, basically digital literacy, AI literacy for themselves and their peers, let alone their parents.
You're always great at giving tips. So what is the advice you have for parents to try and help their kids navigate AI as it really just becomes integrated into almost every aspect of our lives?
You know, it's a great question, but I always say the best thing is you got to do a little of your own homework. So take test drives with your kids. I mean, really go on ChatGPT or Gemini or one of the other platforms with them. Excuse me. Also, really have critical thinking discussions with them about what is AI? How does it affect? How fake can some of it be? What do they have to be worried about and concerned about? And also, you know, prompts are really critical for folks who use AI, so they need more expertise on that. But bottom line, they need common sense and a lot more leadership from the tech industry.
Common sense and critical thinking. I like to hear that. Jim Steyer, good to have you with us. Thanks for joining us this morning.
Good to see you guys as always.
Now to the wildfires in Los Angeles and a new joint effort to help those who were impacted. We're going to show you a QR code on your screen. It links to the newly formed SoCal Fire Fund. It's a group combining the work of major relief organizations and celebrities to help with the long-term recovery across Southern California. NBC News national correspondent Jacob Soboroff caught up with some of the big names lending a hand to those in need.
Hey there. In the wake of the fires, we have seen some of the best of Los Angeles come together. And now the SoCal Fire Fund is combining the efforts of philanthropic and disaster relief groups and tapping celebrities to help these communities rebuild in the months and the years to come.
In the weeks since the Palisades and Eaton fires engulfed entire neighborhoods around Los Angeles, The process of picking up the pieces has just begun. So many who have lost so much still unsure what comes next. But as LA looks towards recovery, a joint effort to help those in need is underway. Major organizations have teamed up to form the SoCal Fire Fund, including the CAA Foundation and the global relief organization CORE, founded by Ann Lee and actor Sean Penn.
SoCal Fire Fund is this collaborative effort. You got the hat, you're bringing together a bunch of distinct groups under one relief banner. How come?
I think it's super important to have a holistic approach to when people are recovering not just their homes, but their entire neighborhoods.
We come in as voluntary gap fillers. So we will say, where can we plug up some holes that you've currently got firefighters on, and try to find those gaps to just keep things progressive. There's no agency that on its own can do, let's say, whatever that most is that should be and can be done to support the community.
To meet that need, major celebrities are joining the cause, auctioning fan experiences that'll raise money and awareness. Among them, actress and Angelino Jamie Lee Curtis.
We love Los Angeles. We love living in California. Our roots are there. Our culture is there. Our communities are there. Our friends are there. Our families are there. And this is a catastrophic loss for our entire city.
You've already put a bunch of money into the recovery. Yeah. Why jump into this one too?
I'll jump into every single one. Again, this is what we do. We come together.
The hope that this newly formed relief group brings both immediate and long-term help to those now needing to rebuild, giving comfort to people like Nina Kaniram, who works with CORE and lost her family home in the Palisades.
To see the extent of the support is very surreal. There's still hope and that there's still resources.
Still, some have voiced frustrations about the recovery timeline. Mayor Karen Bass and my own dad, LA's Chief Recovery Officer Steve Soberoff, have said they are committed to a rapid response.
Like a hurricane with fire.
Fire officials walked us through just one of the many streets now lined with ash and debris. While the scale of destruction seems overwhelming, those backing this relief effort say it's not impossible to overcome.
Do you see it coming back? What do you see as...
Of course I see it coming back. We will heal together. One day at a time, one thing at a time, but we will rebuild stronger and more beautiful than ever.
It'd be great to see if these people want to come back, we should do everything we can to help them back.
Believe it or not, Sean Penn told me that it is simple paperwork, helping people with long-term case management, and that's at the top of the list. He and CAA, who, by the way, I should disclose I'm represented by, say no one group can do it alone. And on that note, yesterday, a new effort led by Magic Johnson called LA Rises announced they've now raised $100 million to aid in the rebuild. Everybody is pitching in. And if you are looking to help, you can find ways to do it. Just go to today.com. Back to you.
All right, Jacob, thank you so much. There's also a benefit concert starring Lady Gaga, Jelly Roll, Stevie Wonder, and more, raising money. It will stream live tomorrow night, 10 o'clock Eastern, right here on NBC News Now. In France, big changes are in the works for two of the most iconic sites in Paris. Notre Dame Cathedral and the Louvre could be getting modern makeovers, but not everyone is happy about the plans. NBC News international correspondent Kelly Kobiea is in London and joins us with the latest on this. Kelly, good morning.
Good morning to you, Joe. Yeah, new stained glass windows in red, turquoise, yellow, and pink with scenes of people in prayer for the just rebuilt Notre Dame Cathedral. And that's not the only monumental plan. There are big changes for the museum that houses one of the world's most famous paintings, the Mona Lisa. Two of the most famous icons in the City of Light are in the spotlight this morning. At the Louvre, the world's most visited museum, it's the Mona Lisa that drives the crowds. And soon those mysterious eyes and famous smile created by Leonardo da Vinci will get a room of their own. On Tuesday, French President Emmanuel Macron announcing a major makeover for the museum that will include new underground rooms and a new entrance, paid for in part by higher prices for Americans and other non-European visitors. The president's intervention prompted by a leaked memo that said the 230-year-old building is leaky and in a state of disrepair. Notre Dame Cathedral is newly rebuilt.
Oh, my.
Only just reopening in December, 5 years after a devastating fire. Craig saw the remarkable results firsthand.
The rose windows, fully restored,
The flames were so intense that day that the lead roof here actually started to melt.
The fire in April of 2019 brought down the iconic spire and centuries-old roof, all of it painstakingly recreated. Much of the cathedral's stunning stained glass survived the flames, including these 19th century windows in 6 of the 7 chapels on the South Aisle, which will now be replaced by new, more modern ones. The plans raising eyebrows.
There is no need to replace these windows from a functional standpoint. And it is also that these windows have a story to tell. And that story would be undermined and lost if those windows were removed.
More than 270,000 people already signing a petition asking President Macron to reverse the decision. The diocese insisting a consultation took place and plans were approved by all the parties, including, they say, the president and the archbishop. The cathedral and other Parisian landmarks under constant change, with each new generation eager to add their own touch and cement their legacy.
Notre Dame's windows are protected under French heritage laws and international conservation guidelines, which essentially say if they're not broken, don't fix them, and certainly don't replace them. So critics of the plan are now threatening legal action. It'll still take quite a while to recreate or to create the new windows, more than a year. Each window is nearly 23 feet high, and the goal is to install them all at the end of 2026, if those plans go through. And Joe, if they do go through, the old windows, which date back to the mid-1800s, will be on show in a museum.
Makes sense. There you go. All right. Kelly, thank you so much. Coming up, a family feud involving the estate of O.J. Simpson. After the break, the new lawsuit alleging one of the late athlete's sons is illegally living in the Las Vegas home where he passed away. We're going to break it all down next. We're back now with a look at the legal dispute brewing between O.J. Simpson's estate and one of his sons. A new lawsuit accuses Justin Simpson of unlawfully living in the Las Vegas home where O.J. Simpson passed away. The estate argues his home was placed in his son's name only to shield Simpson from creditors. NBC News correspondent Liz Kreutz joins us with more on this. Liz, good morning.
Hey, Joe, good morning. Yeah, O.J. Simpson died last year of cancer, and since then, his son has apparently moved into O.J.'s home, which is now at the center of this lawsuit. This all comes as a new Netflix documentary premieres today, looking back at O.J. Simpson's historic murder trial, which began 30 years ago this week.
A new legal battle between the estate of O.J. Simpson and his son Justin, all revolving around the Las Vegas home where the notorious figure lived out his final years. According to the lawsuit brought by O.J. Simpson's longtime lawyer, who now manages his estate, the house was purchased in Justin Simpson's company's name to protect O.J. Simpson's interests while shielding the property from creditors, though the lawsuit says O.J. Simpson was the de facto owner and paid all expenses for the home.
Obviously, I'm dealing with some issues.
After Simpson died last April of prostate cancer, the lawsuit says his son moved into the home and alleges he's now refused to transfer it to Simpson's estate. Simpson's trust states his property should be equally divided among his 4 living children, Justin, Sydney, Jason, and Arnell. The lawsuit asking that the title of the home be transferred to O.J. Simpson's estate, or alternatively that the son's company pay a financial penalty. Justin Simpson has not filed a response to the lawsuit or responded to NBC News' request for comment. The battle over Simpson's estate playing out as a new documentary premieres today on the murders of Nicole Brown Simpson and Ron Goldman and the ensuing trial that captivated millions watching on TV. Simpson was found not guilty in the killings, a verdict that polarized the city of Los Angeles and the nation. Now, 30 years later, the 4-part series features new interviews with some of the unforgettable players and witnesses from the 1995 trial, including Detective Mark Furman.
I'm looking around, and then I looked down. I looked at this object, and it looked like a glove.
Lawyers reflecting on the decisive moment when O.J. tried on that glove in court.
If it doesn't fit, you must acquit.
I told Daddy I wasn't going to do anything controversial, and I did.
And Kim Goldman, the sister of Ron Goldman, who says she feels it's her duty to keep the spotlight on the 2 victims killed that night on Bundy Drive.
I don't want to do this, but if I wasn't, my brother wouldn't be part of it.
Now, Fred Goldman, the father of Ron Goldman, is currently seeking $117 million from O.J. Simpson's Las Vegas estate. Remember, he already won a civil suit against O.J. in 1997 that found O.J. Simpson liable for the killings of his son and Nicole Brown Simpson. The Goldman family says that they've collected only a small fraction of the money that they're owed. Joe?
All right, Liz, thank you so much. Department store giant Kohl's is planning some new job cuts. CNBC senior markets correspondent Dominic Chu is back with that and some other money headlines. Dom, good morning.
Hey, good morning, Joe. So Kohl's is cutting about 10% of its corporate workforce just 2 weeks after naming a new CEO. The cuts at the retailer's headquarters in Wisconsin will affect fewer than 400 people, and more than half will come by eliminating unfilled positions. The vast share of Kohl's employees work in its stores. It had about 96,000 full-time and part-time associates in 2023. The corporate job cuts follow an announcement that Kohl's plans to close more than 24 underperforming store locations. Meanwhile, the iPhone is now able to support Starlink's satellite network in the United States. That's according to T-Mobile, which is a partner in the program. T-Mobile and SpaceX, which operates Starlink and is owned by Elon Musk, are currently testing the cell network on a trial basis after getting FCC approval late last year. The trial offers text via satellite, while voice and data features will be added in the future. Apple and SpaceX have not yet commented. And for the food lovers out there, the sweet and spicy trend is far from over. McCormick has named ají amarillo as its flavor of the year in 2025. Each year, the top maker of spices and seasonings identifies trends about to hit cookbooks and restaurant menus in the coming year. Ají amarillo is a yellow chili pepper native to South America with vibrant fruit notes and a moderate dash of heat. McCormick will start selling an ají amarillo seasoning on its website starting on Monday for $9.99. And Joe, because I know you're curious, the spiciness is about the same as a cayenne pepper for reference.
Okay, good to know. We were just talking about hot honey earlier this month also being a trend, so that's what all the kids are doing.
I'm on top of it. I'm all over hot honey.
We appreciate it. Dom, thank you so much.
You got it.
Coming up, history in the skies. After the break, the private startup that's taking supersonic jet travel to blisteringly new heights. Blink, and you might miss it. That's next. Welcome back. It's a bird. It's a plane. Okay, this time it really is a plane, specifically an aerospace startup called Boom that broke the sound barrier during a test flight. The XB-1 jet hit speeds of about 750 miles an hour, making it the first civilian supersonic jet made in the U.S. The test was a critical step in the return of commercial supersonic flight. The project, called Overture, hopes to carry 64 to 80 passengers across the Atlantic in just 3.5 hours. Not too shabby. Finally, this hour, libraries can be great for a lot of things. Reading, researching, taking classes. How about getting married? Julie Carey from our NBC News affiliate, NBC News 4, takes us inside a local library contest offering a lucky couple the chance to take their vows by the bookshelves.
Man, the library is so great. All of these books, services, spaces, and events, and it's all free.
You love the library so much, why don't you marry it?
That's just part of the social media promotion for the Wedding at the Library contest. It's a tie-in to the 2025 Author Series theme, Share the Love, featuring romance writers. One of the library managers has long wanted to try a wedding here, so the timing seemed right. The best part, the library, with the backing of Friends of the Library, is taking care of everything.
There are plenty of other libraries who rent out their spaces for weddings, including DC Public Library right across the water. But as far as we know, no other libraries have actually hosted the wedding.
More than 30 couples have applied, using everything from written essays to video pitches. The July 12th ceremony at 4 p.m. will be held in this space just inside the entrance. The staircase, suitable for a wedding party procession. The winning couple gets a wedding planner, a well-known Arlington wedding photographer, catering services, a wedding cake, along with flowers and anything else you'd need to dress up a library. The officiant also provided the library director, of course.
I was thrilled. Sure. I mean, it speaks to what the library is all about anyway. Love, acceptance, welcoming.
A library committee will soon pick the top 3 applicants and interview the couples, looking for a special combination.
We're hoping to find a couple who's kind of bookish and nerdy and loves books and loves libraries, but also has an outgoing personality who is willing to do interviews, to share their moment with the public.
Wedding crashers will be allowed. Library patrons can stand around the ceremony area, or they can watch from upstairs on the second floor. The reception, though, will be private, set up here with tables, chairs, food, and a DJ. Just one more way the library can serve the community and share the love at the same time.
We're really trying to bring people together. Libraries are already known as the third space where people from all different walks of life can come in and feel connected to each other. But nothing quite brings people together like a wedding.
Thanks to Julie Carey for that report. Submissions for the contest are now closed. The winning couple will be notified by February 13th, just in time for Valentine's. It does it for this hour. Morning News Now. News continues right now.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.